The question is, when was the tipping point for me to buy a film production cart? Well, first of all, I moved out of downtown recently, so now I got to drive all the way through the city from the sticks, an extra 20 minutes on my commute. But the answer was when a couple things started creating a certain equation. So it was when the crew sizes stayed very minimal, one-man band or maybe one other person, and the equipment size started scaling up. So larger pieces of equipment needing larger stands or more scope. And if I got my cup holder, it would be perfect for right now. So it is 6:46 a.m. right now. This is an early one. There's more factors to that equation though. So there is crew size versus equipment load. And additionally, I had to really think about portability within the shoot. So a lot of times it wasn't that hard to carry in my kit to the location, but there would be multiple locations within that day. We need to pick up, we need to break down the set, move everything, reset up. How much time is that costing me if I use 10 fingers? Also, does it look bad in front of the client? Am I all over the place? It's not a difficult walk. I've done this a million times. It's just if you're carrying more than like 2 roller bags, it's a nightmare. So this Addy Cam is really showing its $1,400 worth of value when you show up to the client and you're not sweating and out of breath.
Yeah, try that gap. And the lanyards are in the bin, right?
Okay, thank you. Oh, now I gotta go uphill. I mean, this would be so much worse without this cart. Much lighter load today than normal. Can exhibitors come on in? Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. The whole show, baby.
Have a good day.
You too, love.
Well, that's interesting. I'm breaking my own rule. I'm setting up settings on site that should have been done last night. But client's not here, got here early, so everything's good. I'm going to speak more about the cart, but first I just want to talk about some of these accessories. I originally purchased these DJI Mic 2s for my social media client. By the way, I break these things off all the time. Sometimes they take forever to ship from China because I have to order from DJI directly. This one only took 2 weeks. Just be careful, they're kind of flimsy. But originally I had purchased these for my social media client who was saying, we don't like the large transmitters of your Sony UWP system. We like the smaller transmitters of these Wi-Fi based mics. And I purchased them. Now they have even lighter ones. I think right now I'm up to 4 microphone sets. They all have different purposes. These DJIs are kind of the most versatile. Let's get back to the cart. So we'll go over our reasons. We had 1 was if you have crew size limitations. 2 is the scale of your load in, load out process. 3 is how many pivots will you have to do setting up and breaking down while on location. And then additionally, it's not a make or break, but it really is nice and useful to have a top layer, a tabletop, to be able to just open gear, look at it, address items, fix something, rather than having one of those catch-all basket rolling wagon types. I will say that those wagons are probably the best value for price ratio. Some of them fold up very compactly. They have large tire size, and they are able to move around much more quickly than I am with this type of cart. However, once I know that I'm not going to be breaking the cart up and down over and over again, that's when I know this is the right choice, because I can have that top layer. Just having 2 layers in general makes a huge difference. The exact cart that I purchased is the Addy Cam Mini with the 9-inch tires. So I did not need the larger sizes of carts purposely because they get very heavy. As a one-man band loading in a lot of my stuff, the cart is already around 67 pounds. So throwing that into a trunk with all the other gear, it becomes a lot. The larger versions have a lot more to offer, a lot more space, and I'm definitely maxed out with the amount of gear that I have on mine. However, the upgrade for the 8-inch tires to move to 9-inch was more of a peace of mind to know that I could get over curbs, anything that just make the ride more durable. And that has been working out really well. I highly recommend those because they can still fit in the mini case. If you get the 10-inch tires, they will not fit in the mini.
So very simple. It comes with a little connection diagram.
So I'm trying to slim down. You saw the 30-minute video about how I switched out a bunch of pieces of gear. So I'm using the Lowell stand. And for this situation, being inside, no wind, no elements, it's okay, but I did pull on this a little bit and it caused the whole thing to fall over on me, so I grabbed it. But I really like the stronger Kupo stands, so either what I can do is throw some sandbags on here, like maybe one of those donut ones, just to give it a little bit more security, or bring the bigger stands. But I really did like how simple the load-in was. I just got to prioritize safety. So, I don't know. I'm going back and forth if this was a good decision or not. So, it is well lit in here. I can stay at the base ISO of 800, but you can see that the depth of field is so shallow that it's hard to read all these words. So, a lot of times to circumvent that, I will just, I have the base ISO switch changed to number 2. So I press it, compensate with the aperture, and now my depth of field can read pretty much the whole thing. So for an informational basis of I want the viewer to read everything, jumping into the high base ISO is a nice little cheat, and it's still so clean that no one would notice. Well, I do think those pull wagons are super convenient. Just having a second level here for a workspace is really, really nice. Otherwise, I'd be having to take that table or whatever, and it's just much nicer to have this second level, even though it's chaos and not organized right now. That restroom, text is like super annoying, so just trying to figure out ways to get around it. So like this one, I just decided to point down and not show it. Weird angle, but better than hearing the client say, do you have any shots without the restroom in the background? I load my cart and my gear into a BRZ coupe, so space is already at a premium. However, if you have a larger vehicle, I recommend just keeping the wheels on the bottom when you collapse it. Just collapse the top layer, the arms fold in, and it will take up more room in your car, but it drastically increases the speed of deployment and putting it back together when you go into your car. That is a huge time saver, but you just have to be able to have all that extra volume in your car to be dedicated for that. I'm pretty sure in a past vlog I filmed myself walk out to this exact same area to get the exact same B-roll that every conference needs. Like I said, I've filmed it here many times. Won't be the last. And I'm not the only one. This guy just came out to get his exteriors as well. Solid form. For myself, I think I'm gonna go with the old flowers as the lower foreground. So we're gonna try to point up. I mean, it looks so much better in my phone than it does on the camera. I think the highlights are blown out on the camera because this is the shadow side of the building. But on the phone, it looks great. Start, jib up. Came out all right. It's a case-by-case basis of whether you need a cart. Do you need the durability? Also, do you need the size? What's the size of your vehicle? They have some other foldable wagons that do have a top layer that I have seen that kind of fits both needs, the speed and the functionality. For me, I would say this works well. There are other people who need much larger solutions. Case in point. Ready. That's nuts. So I just filmed a super fun podcast with Vipul of Binger Productions. About to go to my filmmaker meetup, but he just made this studio. It looks amazing. I think I'm gonna do a tour through here so he can show me why he chose everything. Like he's a full-scale production company, not a freelancer like me. And there's a lot of cool bits and bobs here. So I think I'm gonna do that in the future. Let me know if you guys are interested in this breakdown. This is a garage, and it looks amazing. But now I gotta get ready to go to my meetup. I think I'm just gonna call them Morefield meetups, just so I can have some type of branding, even though it's a little cringe. We'll just call it a Morefield meetup. That way I can do it in any city instead of calling it Orlando Filmmaker Meetup or Dallas, New York, whatever. I really like hosting these meetups. I do them all over the country. This is home. This is Orlando. And it's not just me. It's working with other people in the community who are able to provide their space or show their items. So tonight, which was a really cool one, is we have Vipul who's showing his brand new grip van, what he's got in it, how it's available for hire. And then we got introduced to the studio. It's Chris Chan's spot. So it's this really nice teamwork, but this was a really cool one because normally we have some mingling, people are talking. This one we had kind of like a show and tell, which is really cool to see exactly how these things work, answer a lot of questions, and get some up close personal experience. Chris had a mobile studio that he drives around, attached to a golf cart for podcasting. That's a new one, never heard of that. And then the actual space for the studio worked fantastic. So Vipul sponsored the event. He purchased the pizza. Chris provided the studio and the drinks. And it was a really interesting spot where we could have that dedicated mingling and network where people drove in from all over Florida. We have people from Amelia Island, from Gainesville, from West Coast. But I was really interested in providing a local guy, John Ruse, the opportunity to talk about how he's using automations in his software, his business software, to be able to handle a bunch of menial tasks to allow him to free up more time. So this is a really interesting informational segment, and I like these. So I'm looking for people who are an expertise in their own thing or things that they figured out, because a lot of us can take away the lessons that they've learned and maybe even implement them into our own business structure. So I will be hosting more in the future. I just love aligning with other people who have momentum going and are excited to meet up with other people.